Hello everyone and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Labor Day tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go! So, playthrough for Rookie Division and with the correct tournament win. This is the win that we're going to have in the tournament. Have in mind that it could be a bit like different, not much but just slightly. But at least it's going to give you a big help when it comes to playing these holes. I hope this playthrough will be something that you will use and find positive for your game. Do make a comment in the comment section below if you do have any questions about the playthrough. You can also find in the video description down below, you can find a timestamp so you can just skip certain holes if you don't want to watch this 25-minute long video. Other than that, check out our store in the video description as well, and also patreon.com/golfclashtommy. So let's go. We are going to play left side. You can play in the middle if you do have the big topper available, because you do need to have a lot of topspin. We do choose to go with a Titan here. The reason I'm going with a Titan is because I do want to have as much distance as possible, especially for my first shot, but also for my second shot when we're going to go for the rough bump. So we're going to line it up. We're going to have in mind that this ball is going to be affected a little bit more by the wind. So I will add just a tiny little bit, like 5 to 10%, something like that, to just stay away from the rough and don't do as our opponent did do going into the rough. Because if you do go into the rough, you will not be able to reach for the green in two. And that is also why we're playing on the left side. We will kind of have to have in mind that the regular drivers here for playing in Rookie Division will be up to an X mile level 5, level 6, and quarterback up to a level 8, 7, 8 or 9 at least, like if we think like in general. The big topper, again, you can play down the middle, adjust it like for being in max distance, use the top spin to bounce in the rough to roll out to that fairway. I might going to show that tomorrow when I'm going to stream Rookie, but now in the playthrough I'm not going to go that way. Second shot, we're going to play with the Viper. As you can see, we're going to be in basically medium distance of our club. Have in mind here that you do want to aim just there on top of the rough. And when it comes to being in medium distance of your club, then you will have to adjust for medium numbers as well if you're using the rings. You can see here we're lining it up 3.4 with the Viper level 7. We're going to give this one 1.5 rings to just make sure that we're going to hit the rough and bounce up on the green. This is going to be a tough one to make an hole-in-one, hole-in-one of course, but this is going to be a tough one to make an albatross on. The rough bump there needs to absolutely be in your favor, but worst case scenario, you're going to get an eagle there. And the reason we're going to go with the rough bump is because it gives us an opportunity for the albatross, which it does not do if we're going to go directly to the green. Hole number 2, another one of the Milano. Now we're going to go for the rough bump. As you can see here, we are in between clubs by going with the navigator. So we're going to choose a Titan to give ourselves that room for going for the rough bump. I know this is an aggressive line, but the wind is perfect. Slightly more than 2 bars of backspin, not much more than that. And sure, if you do have another long arrow and do have more distance than the backbone, then you could play with that and then you don't have to play with a Titan. As you can see here, we're going to adjust this shot to be 2 rings. Even though I line it up for being like 1.8, 1.9, 2 rings is going to be perfect for you when it comes to 2.2 in wind. So we're going to want to hit the rough, as you can see there, nice and easy, and get it to roll towards an hole-in-one, which is going to be an important shot when it comes to the tournament. With this type of wind and you nail it down for the rough bump, then you are definitely going to make that hole-in-one. So as you can see, I take away left side, take away right side, go for the rough bump. I understand it might be a bit aggressive, more aggressive for you. Add 10% to your adjustment. So add that. So for an example, if you do have 2 miles per hour in wind, you're adding 10%, which is 0.2. So you're adjusting for the wind 2.2 miles per hour. That's the same if you do have 5. Then you add 10%, which is going to be 5.5 in wind instead. So have that in mind when you're going for hole number 2 and hopefully making a hole-in-one. Hole number 3, we're running fast here, which is good, and we're going to start off by playing this one with a Quasar. The reason we're playing with a Quasar is that we do want to have the side spin. As you can see there on the fairway, it kind of looks like it's flat, but it's not flat because the first bounce is going to push you more to the left than it actually looks. So we're going to aim up here, 1 bar backspin, max side spin to the right. Just count the 4. First and foremost, the push that we do get from the wind combined with that push we're getting off the slope on that fairway. We're going to adjust this one for 2 rings with the extra mile level 5. We are adjusting in max distance. As you can see, we're slightly being downhill, so we're going to add 10% to our drive. That is why we're adjusting 2 rings with the extra mile level 5. Get it to bounce perfectly, nice and easy, getting to this narrow fairway. If you don't feel comfortable by playing this way, then I suggest you play left side. Our opponent is most likely going to try that, I believe. But in the end, it's going to absolutely put the rough and the bunkers more in play, because we're not having that upgraded Cataclysm. We're not having that upgraded Thor's Hammer. So it's definitely going to be the play to bounce there on that fairway. That will leave us up for a long iron, and then the backbone is definitely going to be in play. So see here what our opponent is going to choose to do is to bounce there on the fairway, trying to go there to the top. Is going to be a very, very tough shot. Very, very tough shot. So I would definitely not recommend to playing this way. If you're going to play left side, I would highly suggest that you at least give yourself a ball that can reach a little bit further. Then play with a Titan would be my suggestion on that particular way. But like, if I would choose one way, I would choose this way every single time. I know it's a bit more aggressive, but it gives you an opportunity for an eagle. Look at this. We do have the backbone. We're going to use, as you can see, we're using 3 bars in the beginning. We notice if we're getting short. As you can see, if we're hitting the top of the fairway, then we're going to kind of bounce right down into the rough or into the bunker. So we'll have to have that in mind, and we're going to go with 2 bars of backspin instead, and just having the fairway after the rough as a second bounce position. 4.7, we're going to give our backbone 3.6 rings, and we're going to adjust this shot as it would be like normal way. So not adding or subtracting anything. Hit that ball perfect, and we're going to get this one to bounce nice and easy and get it very, very close to making that eagle for hole number 3. So this is a tough hole, but making the drive in a positive way allows you to get that opportunity to make that eagle for your second shot. Miss your drive, you're going to have to struggle big time to making a birdie. So now we go to hole number 4, and hole number 4 is going to be a very tricky par 3 in my opinion, especially if you're using a long iron or you're using a wood club with not that much backspin. I don't know what our opponent is trying to do here, to be honest. So I think this is some type of a rough bump attempt, I guess. But in the end, this is not the way I suggest you to play this hole. I suggest you to play this hole by bouncing on the little fairway platform you can see there in the end with your long iron, and bounce this one to the green. We're going to play with a navigator here to reduce the wind just a tiny little bit. And we're going to adjust our shot for being in maximum distance. Max backspin. The reason we're going to want to max backspin because we do want control. Because if we hit it great left, great right, we don't want our ball to kind of bounce all over the place and risking rolling down on the left side, because that is going to give us a very, very tough time to make that putt for the birdie. We're going to adjust our shot 10% extra here as well. So we're going to go 1.8 rings with the backbone, and not going with any curl, just using the backspin. Now we hit it kind of massively great on the right side, and of course we're going to go short, and we're going to line up on the go on the right side. But in a worst case scenario shot, like when you miss completely, then I will take that great shot rather to the right than risking going to the left. So that is why I suggest as well to line up a little bit to the right of the pin, to just in case if you come in a bit too hot, then not going to fall down to the left. So hole number 5, and here you will definitely have an advantage if you do have an upgraded driver. And an upgraded driver, I mean, like if you do have an XMI level 7, you might have some type of an Apocalypse or a Thor's Hammer, which in my opinion would be weird if you're playing down in rookie division, if you're not just been lucky to unlock those clubs very early. So the thing that we are going to do, we're going to go with a ball that gives us some side spin, which is going to be the Quasar in this particular play. We're going to have the quarterback level 6, as it's going to give us some good accuracy and also some good ball guide, at least the best ball guideline we do have on our driver here. And then we're going to line it up, and we're going to put ourselves up just to make this shot as to be a second shot towards the pin with the Viper or with whatever wood club you might have for your second shot. So, slight amount of curl, I would say baby curl to the left, if you know what I mean with that. But as you can see, a tiny little bit there to just follow the rough there. Sure, you could play with a much like a less close line like we did there, and just making ourselves an easier drive to be more on the fairway. The thing that you do have here is that you do have some tailwind, and that tailwind is going to definitely help you big time when it comes to getting that ball close to the pin. On having then an upgraded driver and then maybe using a power 3 ball or power 5 ball, if you want maybe some berserkers in the golden shot, that could potentially put you very close to the green and might give you that easy albatross. Not easy, sorry, but at least a good attempt to make the albatross. Our opponent gets into the bunker here, which is unfortunate, but I will have to say that this is a must eagle. If you're going to compete in the top here in rookie, then you need to make an eagle on this one and at least give yourself an opportunity with the albatross. So we're going to play with the Viper in mid distance here, max backspin. As it's 3 bars backspin. We want the second bounce to just be there on the fringe. You can see we're lining up a little bit too short at the moment, and we're going to adjust that one just there in the end. So we're going to want that end of the fringe, or just the beginning of the fairway, sorry, beginning of the green, to be our second bounce position. 1.2 rings, which is not much, but it's important to be accurate here. We hit the gray to the right side, which is definitely a lack of focus, and we're going to miss it slightly right, and with a perfect could have been an albatross there from distance. This is, in my opinion, absolutely an opportunity to make an albatross, and in the end, if we do miss, we're going to secure that eagle by making that drive in a perfect way. Do take the risk with your drive. If you do have an upgraded driver and have a ball to spare. But as a general rookie perspective, we are not going to have that. So therefore, we're playing it safe with the quarterback, with accuracy and ball guide, and then go with a wood club, trying to get that hole in, trying to get that albatross. You can hear me saying like hole in one all the time. What's that? So this on hole 6, I'm going to show you this straight way, or at least trying to, because our opponent is going to show you another way. We're going to try to bounce this one on that platform using the topspin to roll through the rough. And the thing that is going to happen here is two things. Either you're going to get this less fortunate bounce in the rough and going to just die in the rough, or you're going to get that lucky bounce in the rough and you're going to roll through the rough. The thing that is going to happen here is we're going to get that bounce that is going to make our ball die. As you can see here, it dies directly. In other cases, we could be possibly be rolling through the rough, having a wedge to the pin. When I play this hole, I see us, as you can see, we can play right side, we can play left side. We'll have no problem with that. If you do want to take the risk and feel fairly confident by playing with your rough iron, if you do miss the rolling through the rough to the fairway, then you can absolutely play this way. And sure, if you do have a berserker ball and you do maybe have an upgraded club, then you could possibly play over the bunker. I wouldn't suggest to have that as a line to play or like a go-to play. I suggest here to either bounce it there like we did, take that risk going into the rough and having to try to chip it in with our rough iron, or you play it safe right side, you play it safe left side, and you play with your thorn or the other short iron that you might have. So 3.3, we do have the machete max backspin here. We're going to give this one like half a ring tops, and going to of course try to hit this ball perfect, which we do in this scenario. And the backspin here allows us to be able to go directly towards the pin, and in this scenario we make an eagle. And sure, you need to rely on hitting that shot perfect, But the thing that I wanted to come to there is even we take a risk in going into the rough, we're definitely going to have a very good opportunity to make an eagle there from distance. Straight tailwind, not that much to think about. Here in this scenario, for an example, if you're not having side spin, then you're going to have a problem to go straight to the pin with the thorn. And that is something that we do forget sometimes. Sometimes it's better to take a risk and take a little bit harder shot for hitting the ball perfect than it would be from the right or from the left side. In a rookie perspective, if you're not using a ball with a lot of with some side spin, then I would suggest to play left side instead of the right side as our opponent to do. Hole number 7, now it's time to play one of the Southern Pines. I really do like the Southern Pines, as you probably have noticed. And we're going to play here with the Viper, and we're going to play this one 10% extra. So we're going to add 10% as it's going to be slightly downhill. So that is important to have in mind when playing this shot. Our opponent here is going to do the best, not the best, but a decent attempt when it comes to a basic ball. You do need to use a ball with side spin. Either you play with a katana or you play with the quasar. The difference is that with a katana you don't need to use any curl, and with a quasar you will need to use slight amount of curl. Max side spin, 1 bar top spin. You want to have the second bounce just being like in a distance of the fringe, as you can see there on the green. Having it to line up there, as you do have the red ring kind of very, very close to the rough there on the right. Almost that you cut it a little bit there, cut the rough a little bit. 4.4, 10% extra, and we're going to give this one 2 plus, just a tiny little bit, like 2.1, 2.2, but let's say 2, like just a tiny bit curl to the right. Just give that little extra push so we can get up that hill. As you can see, that top spin allows us to get that roll up to the hill there and fall down to make a nice smooth hole-in-one on hole number 7. Hole number 8, and hole number 8 is going to be one of the tougher courses here. I do suggest that you do play the right side here. The reason I do suggest that, even though with the wind that we're going to have, is that if you just find yourself like behind the bunkers and being there with a wood club as a club to go with for be able to reach for the green, then that is going to be very tough, and then you need to rely on a very tricky rough bump. And when this wind is like this, then we can really use the wind in our favor, trying to play on the right side instead. And that is also allowing you to get that opportunity for the eagle that you might not going to get from the left side. So from this distance here with a mauling ball, our opponent is going to have to play with a wood club, and it's going to be tough, as you're not going to be able to get it directly up to the green with the backspin and stop. We're going to play here with a Titan combined with the quarterback. Now we do have the quarterback level 6, which don't allow us to have that much distance of our club. But that is the reason we're using a power 3 ball, because I do want to have the accuracy, I do want to have the ball guide, and also I do want to have the curl. We don't have that much curl when it comes to the X mile level 5. 2.8, we're going to give this one 10% extra in adjustment. You can see we're being like 75% outside of the ring for the curl. Slight amount of overpower, like 15-20% of overpower. We were very close there to the rough. Max top spin, max side spin, and we're putting ourselves up for a very nice attempt for the eagle here from distance. So look at this opportunity here, guys. Going to have the grizzly for our opponent. Is going to be in between clubs, sniper level 1. There is no chance whatsoever, in my opinion, to get this one to stop directly on the green. Sure, if you do have an upgraded guardian, but you don't have that when you play in rookie, then you're playing the wrong division, I think. If you're going to find yourself in this situation, you will have to go for the rough bump, but as you were in between clubs, that is going to be auto play as well. So this is going to be like to be honest, this is going to be a very tough spot for every player in the game of a golf clash. So it's going to hit this one great and going to bounce on the green and bounce over and get into the rough. And sure, from the rough it's possible to make it, but in the end, don't give yourself that Yeah, that shot, guys. Don't do that. Max side spin here to just put ourselves away from the rough and the bunker from the on the left as much as possible. So going to line it up, 2 bars backspin. That is going to be enough to make the ball stop and have a decent roll towards the pin. We're going to be in medium distance of our club. I'm going to adjust this one as we would be in medium distance as well. The problem we have is that we are not having the ball guide line to kind of adjust with. So we will have to kind of eyeball the ball guide line a little bit there. 1 ring is going to be our adjustment for this particular shot. We hit it perfect. And now we want to push ourselves into the left here and go towards the pin. We're getting it fairly close, just 1 cup to the left, but I will definitely take that because hole number 7 is going to be a tough hole. So last but not least, we do have hole number 9. And hole number 9, I'm going to show you an approach with the big topper. That will give you a very, I would actually say an easy eagle on otherwise a very tough par 5 to make an eagle on as a general thought. So our opponent is having the XMI level 4, and the XMI level 4, yeah, sure, you can bounce over the rough and the bunker, but it's going to be tough. So I don't blame our opponent to play himself up to the left there. But again, here is an opportunity for you to really get an advantage over the other players if you do have the big topper. And it doesn't matter if you do have the big topper in level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should play with it anyway. The accuracy is really bad, so it's going to be tough when it comes to over adjusting, so like overpowering a shot. So that is definitely something that we do need to think about. Max topspin here, 2.3. The ball is going to be affected way more by the wind than it actually looks. So we're going to add 20% to our adjustment, but it doesn't really matter. We still need to use some overpower. Going to use 50% of overpower here and hit this ball great. And going to bounce nicely here with all the topspin that we do have. Look at this ball, how it flies and also how it rolls. And this is going to be giving us an opportunity with the big dog to be able to get to this green into without having to overpower our shot or without having to struggle big time. Our opponent is using the big dog level 3 here, and that is absolutely the best club to go with on hole number 9. Now, if you are in this position, you do need to you shouldn't be playing this one on the left side. In my opinion, you should be trying to just position yourself between the rough and the bunker there on the right, not on the left side, but on the right side, because that is going to give you an easier time to reach for the green in 3. Because if you are not reaching over the bunker, you are not going to be getting this ball to green in 2. Now we're going to have basically straight tailwind, and we're going to use the rough patch there to roll towards the pin. We're not looking at this as an albatross hole. Sure, it's going to be someone that might get it, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for that bounce in the rough to roll through the rough up to the green and just have an easy putt for the eagle. Because if you get an eagle here, you're definitely going to have an advantage over other players, as they are not going to get an eagle every single time. 3.5, we're going to go with just slight amount of overpower. This might going to be a little bit too much, because we need to think about the extended ball guideline, and we just cut the rough here, so a little bit too much overpower. And sure, we did hit it great, but in the end, look at this roll out there to making the eagle on this hole number 9. So ladies and gentlemen, this was the playthrough for Rookie Division. Please make a comment in the comment section below, and also check the timestamps there if you do want to watch a specific hole again without having to kind of look and look and look. So this video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so I will end this one with say good luck in the Labor Day tournament.